Hi guys, my name is Crystal and welcome to my YouTube channel. How's everybody doing? Great, I hope. Right guys, so I did say that I was going to listen to my mum's answer phone messages this morning, and I had one from last night. I wasn't very well at all last night. I couldn't concentrate on anything. This stomach ache was quite bad. Monday, brand new day of the week, first day of the week. I'm just about to listen to my mother's answer phone messages. I missed them this morning. So that's my mother's answer phone message from last night and one from this morning. Not feeling in the greatest of health, to be honest. I have this raging stomach ache, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to ring my mum back. See you later. This stomach ache started after I ate Walker's Crisps last night. It's not the first time. I forgot myself because I had a stomach ache before when I ate them, and I forgot. I just wanted some crisps. They're a pack of 12 Walker's Crisps that my mum gives me when I go up there. I don't know whether, a lot of the food tastes different. I don't know whether they've changed recipes of food or, it's not the same. The food does not taste the same to me as it used to do. Some of it tastes watered down, some of it doesn't taste the same. I don't know if that's just me, but when I ate them, they tasted okay, but my body's having trouble digesting these Walker's Crisps. I'll suffer for a couple of days. It's like, when you've got trapped wind, it's like trapped in the stomach and just below the stomach. I've had trapped wind under the ribs and that's excruciating. I was up all night with that. When wind gets trapped underneath your ribs and your chest, it feels like you're having a heart attack. And then you either give a great big belch and the pain goes away. That's when you know it's heartburn and not something to do with the heart. When you belch and a load of wind comes out. But it can feel like you're having a heart attack, trapped wind. It's extremely painful. Perhaps I've eaten the crisps too fast. I should need to eat my food slower, probably. It's excruciating, but when I sit down, it's not so bad. It's worse when I stand up or lie down. I hardly got any sleep last night. I'm going to phone my mum back. Alexa, can you put LBC radio on?
LBC London from Global Player. have a single case like this where the file came across my desk and I said, we can't take an action because we don't have the powers. And I think there's a sort of reality check here. What the police want, I think what the Commission is actually asking for is not so much a change in the law, but clarity. Do I have these powers? So if I was Prime Minister, Nick, what I would do, instead of more headline-grabbing legislation, I would get the chief constables into a room, sit them down with me and say, right, what's the problem? Because I don't accept that if you are walking at a sort of funereal pace, that is not obstructing the highway. And I think if the police were told in terms, yes, that is an offence, and get on and do something about it, they could get on and do something about it tomorrow morning. My worry with this government is, for every problem, their answer is always, let's do some more legislation. Get on with what you've got. I mean, they're doing the same with minimum service levels. Instead of solving the strikes, let's have some more legislation. They did it with small boats. Instead of actually knocking heads together and do something, let's have some legislation. You can't just legislate your way out of every problem. I'll get the chief constables in, I'll get the commissioner in and say, right, what's the problem? Do you need legal clarity? If so, let's get the most senior lawyer we can to give the strongest opinion and test it in court. If we did that, we could actually take this action tomorrow instead of waiting for legislation to go through.
I have to say, most serving coppers seem to agree with you on that point, Sir Keir. Let's move to other calls, if we may. Anne in Canterbury, and you're through to Sir Keir Starmer. Go ahead. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Nick, and good morning, Sir Keir.
Hi, Anne.
Hello there. I worked for a number of years as a mainstream classroom teacher. I now work within the Specialist Education Centre. And obviously, Sir Keir, you'll be aware of, not just workload, incredible workload pressures on teachers, but also, substantial financial pressures in terms of real-term incomes and how they've dropped over the last 12 years or so. And I wondered, in view of the forthcoming ballot results for teachers striking, how you felt about teachers going on strike.
Well, look, Anne, firstly, thank you for the work you've done as a teacher and now as a specialist teacher. I know that's tough, and I know that over the last 10, 13 years under this government, it's got tougher and tougher with fewer people, less resources, and more pressures. And so thank you for what you've done. The financial situation is such with the cost of living crisis that increasing numbers of people are being driven towards industrial action. And I think it's very hard for the government to say it's this particular union or that particular union. When your nurses, possibly your teachers, your railway people, your border staff are all on strike, then there's a problem which is deep, and that's the cost of living crisis. But Anne, let me be absolutely straight with you. I do not want teachers to go on strike. I don't want nurses to be on strike. I don't think nurses want to be on strike. What I do want is a grown-up government that gets in the room with the relevant parties and solves the issues. What drives me to points of frustration is at the moment we've got a government that thinks that it's best to sit this out and sit on its hands. And so, Anne, I want to see the issues resolved, and I want to see a government that actually gets on and starts governing instead of grandstanding.
Quick response from you, Anne.
To be honest, I totally agree. I mean, I think as well that you can't underestimate to hear exactly what you said about how those professions feel about having to go on strike. I think there wouldn't be a teacher who didn't feel extremely conflicted about whether they should strike, just as the same with health professionals.
Okay, and thank you for that. Before we come on to the next call, which is going to be you, Adam, there was an horrific event in your constituency over the weekend. We can talk a little bit about it because you know better than I, although there's been arrest, no charges have been brought. I heard you on the radio saying that this possibly speaks to a reform in gun law. What did you mean by that?
Yeah.
This is the shooting, just remind me, this is the horrific shooting at the funeral.
Yeah, Nick, this was an awful shooting over the weekend at a funeral in my constituency in Euston. Obviously, I've been in constant contact with the police and had intelligence briefings, and I need to be careful not to disclose any of that, although I'm pleased that the police have been able to act relatively quickly, and I'm sure I speak on behalf of you and everybody listening to LBC and sending our thoughts and best wishes to the family concerned, particularly the young girl. We've had these incidents from time to time with guns. There was one down in Plymouth, if you remember, last year. And every time there's evidence which I am concerned about that people have access to guns that they shouldn't have access to. Now, if it's illegal access, obviously that's a pure matter of the criminal law, but other people where better checks should be taken on the circulation of guns. And so I think that we need to look again as to whether those laws are strong enough. Now, that may or may not help this particular case, and I'm be careful not to go into the details.
This is likely to be an illegally owned gun. Let's rephrase. There are many illegally owned guns out there. So
there are many illegally owned guns out there, and there are legally owned guns which I don't think should be in the hands of the people who are legally owning them.
What informs you of that, Sakir?
Well, every time there's one of these incidents, I think after Plymouth there was then a review of all the cases.
So you want tougher restrictions
each
on gun ownership?
county then looked, and in each case there were examples where, in my view, the individual should not be allowed to carry a gun.
So you would see gun ownership made even tougher?
Yeah.
Outlawed completely?
No, not outlawed completely, because I think there are farmers, etc., but subject to tighter control.
Gun clubs?
Again, I mean, for sports clubs, etc., I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Okay, let's move on to other calls.
Alexa,
Amber's in Edinburgh.
Alexa, stop. Right, guys, I'm going to get on with the rest of my day. I've got to speak to my mum. I still haven't seen King Charles's portraits on any of the notes. I think they're going to come into circulation, I think, right up till 2024. The coins are supposed to be started circulation this year, I believe. Alexa, when are the coins with King Charles being circulated?
There are no matches for that in your order history. To view your past purchases, go to your orders on Amazon.
She told me this morning. I'll go to the other Alexa, but this was the £10 note I was given in return for my £10 win on the scratch card. It's got the Queen's head on. This is a £10 note I was given yesterday. Alexa, when are the coins with King Charles going to be circulated?
From sbs.com.au. Coins with the portrait of King Charles will be in distribution from 2023.